Hey everybody, it is Scott Brown here with day 32 of the 90-day video Facebook Live challenge. It's cold. It's really cold. It is, feels like 5 degrees out there right now, according to the weather forecast. Shoveled snow 3 times today. Did not remember just how cold you got when you shoveled snow, but I also didn't remember how communities came together to try to support each other, especially during the winter. I kind of forgot that from what it was like growing up in Pittsburgh. I hadn't had to shovel snow in years. I didn't have a house when I left Pittsburgh, didn't buy our first house until we were in Orlando, so I hadn't shoveled snow probably since I was in high school. Maybe outside of college when I was married the first time. I'm not really sure. It's been a long time since I shoveled snow. But I was really kind of taken today by the amount of people, not just that were out shoveling snow, but were out shoveling other people's snow. That knew that, hey, this person's out of town or this person has to work a long shift at a hospital, so I'm going to give them a hand. I shoveled a walk down past our neighbor's house, down past the house beyond that because nobody lives there. Started helping our neighbors shovel out their driveway today. They in turn went across the street and shoveled out the people across the street for them. Guy was snow blowing his driveway 2 doors down. He went across the street and helped somebody else out. So it was really uplifting to see the amount of people that went out of their way to help somebody else. And it was like there's not just a community feel, but everybody kind of has this camaraderie together, and together as a whole kind of created this sort of brand image of what it's like to live in this neighborhood. And by brand image, I mean, how do you interact with people? How do people interact with you? And it made me wonder, do I really have a strong brand? Do I have a brand? Like, the reason why I'm doing this whole Facebook Live challenge in the first place is to try to hone a message so that I can create a more substantial brand, a brand that people will know who I am, what I'm about, and that there'll be a reason to follow me, a reason to interact with me, a reason to maybe trust me to do business with me. And the whole reason to do this whole thing is to help create that kind of not just brand awareness, but an overall brand. And we all have these stories and artifacts that I talk about those a lot when I talk about building culture. But the brand isn't just kind of the more esoteric how people interact with you. The brand is more of that, what does it feel like when somebody actually interacts with you? What are those things that somebody expects from you? What are those things that you exude that people come to just know you for and expect from you? Now, over the past 7 years ago, I've really tried to focus on living by a creed, living by the idea that if you help others, you help yourself grow. And Toastmasters is something that really opened my eyes to that, of not just the benefits of it, but really to make it very purposeful in not just randomly going and helping people, but helping people in a specific way to help them do a specific thing. And that is to grow, to risk failure, and to become a better version of themselves. I think that's really where my calling is, and that's really what's important to me. I grew up in Pittsburgh, everyone knows that. And one of the great things about Pittsburgh is everyone from Pittsburgh pretty much is a Steeler fan. I'm definitely still a Steeler fan, still a Penguin fan, definitely still a Pirate fan. Pitchers and Catchers report pretty soon. I'm looking forward to that. But there's a brand around each one of those teams that is very substantial. That there's a brand around the Steelers that's a very blue-collar, hard-working, defense-first, team-oriented approach. The Pirates, on the other hand, struggle with exactly who they are as a brand, and in that way, they also struggle to find followers. So the brand I think that we're trying to create for ourselves, I think is really important, and I don't know if we necessarily always appreciate where we put that brand out there. So I say that because I actually unfollowed somebody, actually unfriended somebody on Facebook tonight, somebody who I really do respect in a lot of ways, but they are adamant in what they post and what they share about specific viewpoints they have towards the world that are really very religious historically contextualized and politically contextualized, and they have a very specific point of view, and if you don't agree with that point of view, then they want to argue about why you are wrong. And without a doubt, they're right, and I love their passion for it, and there's a lot of stuff about this person that I really, really like. But their brand, the brand that they put out there, isn't one of inclusiveness, it's one of I'm right and you're wrong. And it's more a brand of separation, something that I don't necessarily want to follow. And I know from a life standpoint, I know this person really does a lot of good work for a lot of people, helps a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but has this huge disconnect between how they put themselves out there publicly on social media and how they put themselves out there as an individual in a one-on-one context. And how are you doing that? Do you have a disconnect between who you say you are and how you actually come across in different platforms? I don't know if I have a disconnect between who I say I am and how I come across in different platforms and in different contexts and different situations. And I'm trying to figure that out, and I'm trying to really develop that, which is why I'm doing this whole crazy 90-day Facebook challenge thing in the first place, and really trying to figure out how the brand that I want to create, how to galvanize that and make it one specific thing. So if your friends and your family and your followers can't count on you to be who you really are on a regular basis and can know when they say that they're going to interact with you, they know how you're going to react, they know what you're going to do, they know what you're going to believe, they know what you think, and there's alignment built between all those things that you say, all those things that you do, and all those things that you profess to be. If you have this disconnect, it's hard to maintain energy and engagement because people are going to always take this step back and say, well, I don't know if I can really trust who they really are. So try to focus on, if you say that your brand is how can I help, like I really believe that is a big part of my brand, be true to yourself and how can you help? Well then, help. Don't just say you're going to help, but actually help. Be careful of what you put out there into the world, because if you're saying one thing and doing something else, then there's no connection and people are going to have a hard time believing you. So for what it's worth, I'm really glad that I went out and I showed other people's walks tonight. There was nothing in it for me really, other than I have a clear path to walk the dogs, but I also know that when the kids go to school on Monday, they're going to be able to walk down the streets and be able to get to the cut through to go to the school in a lot easier way. And maybe it'll make somebody's life just a little bit easier. Don't want anything back for it. Just was glad it could help somebody else out that might be out there in the same way when it's 3 degrees tomorrow and might make the life just a little bit easier. So think about your brand. Think about if everything you're doing is aligning with what you do, with what you say, and who you profess to be. And if not, where do you have those disconnects and what can you do to help bring those things back into alignment, to recreate the energy and recreate engagement with you as an individual and that people know who you are as a brand. So with that, I'm going to sign off tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on Sunday, and hopefully we'll make it through 3 degrees for a high tomorrow. It's going to be cold, really cold, in Fort Wayne. I miss our house in Florida. Talk to you later, folks. Later.